This afternoon, developing stories coming out that a few of their players, Reid Mahoney, he will look to, well, he's been given permission to negotiate with clubs for next year. We've also got Toby Sexton saying that he will not be at the club next season, Gordy. So this is all happening now at the Canterbury Bulldogs. Yeah, you just hope it doesn't derail their season. They've built something nice. They've been building nicely on a team ethos. One guy coming in, just hope that they can hold it together, because sometimes this can upset the apple cart.
I wrote this morning in my column in the Telegraph that this signing of Lachlan Galvin and Leo Thompson had the potential to create unrest in the camp. And you've got Reid Mahoney and Sexton. You've also got a couple of other, I'd say Connor Tracy might be in a little bit of doubt long term. You've also got a couple of, you've got an Origin player, Matt King, who's only on 400k. You've got Jacob Preston, who's done such a great job, on 350k. Then they're bringing these stars in on all the big money. Now, because of the potential of the unrest, I think that is one of the reasons why for a number of weeks we've been misled by Phil Gould, and he hasn't wanted it to be out there publicly as they climb to the top of the table. Rudy?
I think you've got to put it in perspective. I think Toby Sexton, whilst Pete Bedell's come up with the story that Toby Sexton is saying he's leaving at the end of the year, I don't think Toby Sexton didn't have an offer on the table from the club. I think it was pretty clear the club was moving in another direction. In fact, it's my understanding Toby probably wouldn't have been in first grade next week. That Bailey Haywood would have been halfback. So I think the writing was on the wall for Toby Sexton. I think
he did get into the top of the ladder.
Buzz,
They've won 9 from 11.
I just told you, Buzz, he was going to be in reserve grade next week.
Is that right?
Did you see them last week?
Is that right?
Well, there was every chance he would have been in this.
I saw him last week. You're going to do that on one game when they're without 3 State of Origin players and they're without how many players suspended and injured? It's unfair. If Canterbury were going to drop him, it's unfair.
I'm just trying to tell you there was every chance that Bailey Haywood would have been the halfback in the next game against Parramatta. That may still be the case. Lachlan Galvin may come off the bench in that game. And in terms of Reid Mahoney asked for permission in the off-season to explore his options. This isn't a Lachlan Galvin-related thing. He asked for it 6 months ago or so, at the end of last year, to look around the comp for an extent. If you could get an extension, a long-term extension at the end of this year, would they consider letting him go? He's just asked the same question again. So I wouldn't say that's Galvin-related.
He asked the same question. I've spoken to Sam Ayyub about this around the same time that the West Tigers gave Galvin permission to negotiate elsewhere, when it became likely he was heading to Belmore. That's when he asked for release. And he's on big money, Reid Mahoney, over $600,000. And, he wants to get a head start.
So are you saying that could be money freed up for Galvin? Or?
Yeah, well, they've got to free money up. I mentioned a couple of players who have been hopelessly underpaid. Preston and King.
Well, once you play Origin, you go up, don't you?
Yeah, well, generally,
you're talking about Bailey Haywood playing halfback. I thought he might play hooker next year.
Well, he probably will next year.
But this is where I'm talking about unrest. Gus has confused not only the entire rugby league world, but the players who are inside those 4 walls at Belmore. No one knows what's going on.
I think that's really unfair on Cameron Ciraldo in particular, Buzz. We've sat here on this panel, I've said it, since the day the season started, they do not have a spine to win this competition this year. And OK, they looked pretty good in recent weeks. They were really poor last week. So I am not going to have a go at them for going out and getting a young player who can give them the strike they need in the spine to compete with Melbourne.
Because I said the place was all over the shop, what made you say that I'm
with Melbourne, they got beaten by 60 with him in the spine. You got to get a decent... No, you don't get him.
Hold on, when did I say Cameron Ciraldo had anything to do with this? He's not part of the recruitment.
The players are confused.
Well, the players are confused.
He's the coach.
He's the coach. He's not doing the recruitment. Liam Ayyub's doing that, Peter Sharp's doing that, and Phil Gould's running it.
I think Lachlan Galvin's a great recruit for that football club. Do you think
so do I. I think he's a great recruit, but you're getting away from the point, the potential it has for unrest in the club. And you want to sack a bloke to second grade or the
I don't want to sack him. I'm telling you, he was about to get dropped. I'm not sacking him. I don't pick their team.
Yeah, well, you seem to be on board with it.
I think you're on the money there, Rudy, in terms of he was about to be sacked, Sexton. Dropped, sorry, not sacked. Yeah. So that does change things here, because only a month ago he was flying, Bulldogs are flying. They're still coming first, mind you, and he's been in great form. Hasn't been unbelievable the last few weeks. I think it's still harsh to drop him the way that they're playing and the position.
He'd be the
they're in.
first number 7 to be dropped leading the competition.
It's almost unheard of. It is almost unheard of.
Doesn't this say to you that Gus knew a long time ago, despite what he's been gibbering about on Channel 9, Gus must have known he was coming. Otherwise, they would have somehow locked up Toby Sexton because he's the halfback, he's top of the ladder halfback.
They have not been convinced with Toby Sexton all year. All year.
It's not what I've heard.
Okay.
I think Jason Taylor, who's been his personal one-on-one coach, has been very happy with him.
I think
and we
he's
talk
really
about
solid.
one harbour bridge pass down in Canberra.
Well, clearly Gus
please.
and Cam haven't been convinced by him, otherwise it would have extended him.
The writing was on the wall, and I said it on this show, 3 or 4 weeks ago. If you try and put the pieces of the puzzle together, then they're not re-signing Sexton. There's no commitment to Parramatta from the Galvin camp. You looked at the way that Gus was talking about Galvin. There were so many reasons in my mind as to why the Bulldogs would want him at the club. Now, what I've heard from the club today, that this is a Cameron Serrato decision and a Luke Vella decision. Apparently Luke Vella, who coached Galvin through his junior years and he's still a mentor to him right now, they were the push. I'm hearing it wasn't Gus who pushed this the last month or so, or in particular over the last couple of weeks. It's been Serrato who wants him at the club. He sat down with him. I did speak to Benji at the time that Galvin said he wanted to leave the Tigers, and one thing he did say to me is that he's a footy head. He's got one of the highest footy IQs of a kid of his age that he's ever seen, and I've heard that from the Bulldogs as well. So that was a huge appeal to them. That's not to say that this isn't a shock to me, and that the goalpost, Gus said the goalpost moved. I don't know how far.
Do you believe that?
I don't think they moved. I think Gus
do you
moved
really
the goalpost.
believe
They
that?
did move, though. They did.
What was the movement? What was the
Well, the
movement?
movement was 2 weeks ago when the club said...
Is
the
Gus a
Tigers
groundsman as well?
When the Tigers said,
Yeah.
you can go to market and see what you can get now.
Yeah.
That changed. That
Can I ask
changed.
you a
Hang on,
question?
hang
What
on,
did he
hang on,
say about
just
Leo?
quickly?
I'm just saying the
So,
goalpost did change.
okay, so you don't think that Gus was talking or interested in Galvin at all before 2 weeks ago?
No, I think he was, but I'm saying when he says the goalpost changed 2 weeks ago, that is correct.
Well, why did he
They
say
did
he's not on the
change.
radar?
Well, I don't know, maybe
Why
it's
did-
not-
why
maybe
did-
it's
why-
not what
Let's
was said.
just relive it, okay? Phil Gould was adamant the Dogs weren't interested, but then the goalpost apparently shifted.
We're not thinking about Lachlan Galvin. We've never at any stage been involved in any discussion regarding Lachlan Galvin, and we're not going to get into a discussion about Lachlan Galvin. He's not on our radar. We've got a different program going at the moment. Yeah, it's not unlike the media to go running ahead with a story, is it? So it's a bit of a frenzy out there. Lachlan Galvin has expressed his desire to play with the Bulldogs. We'll try and accommodate that. I don't think I used the term wasn't interested. What I said it was that we'd stick to our program. When he first told the West Tigers he wasn't going to play in 2027, he was still contracted till the end of 26. That's 18 months to hang around wondering whether or not you've got a player. So that didn't suit our time frame. I said we would stick to the program that we've got. What happened this week is the goalpost got moved incredibly, because all of a sudden we got a call on Tuesday from the manager to say that there was a chance they were negotiating a release with the Tigers and he would be available virtually now.
It's not unlike the media to run with a story. Well, Gus, we ran with this story 3 or 4 weeks ago, and guess what? We were right. So this is very interesting. I didn't like that from Gus, the way he palmed that off. The rest I can cop.
Yeah.
But to point to the media as this being a media thing and a media beat up, it wasn't a beat up, mate. We got it.
To be quite frank, I don't believe anything he says. And earlier this year, Wide World of Sports through Gus ran a story saying they didn't want Leo Thompson from Newcastle. They were dropping out. They signed him a couple of weeks later. You go back a few years and he said, Trent Barrett's sweet, he's going to be here longer than me. He left 3 weeks later, punted. You want me to go back to Penrith? 2016, looked it up today. Said Matt Moylan will play here for the rest of his life. He sold him to Cronulla the next year. At Penrith, he signed Griffin, extended Griffin, said he's the future of this club and sacked him.
He's renowned for it, right?
Yeah,
he's renowned for it.
I'm just
but
saying,
also he gets it done too, right?
Use the word.
He gets it done though. He gets it done. Have a look at this situation.
But the difference,
He fooled everyone bar us. Let's be honest. He fooled everyone bar us.
But the difference is, Gus is not a club official. He's being paid substantial amount of money to sit on a panel like this to Channel 9 viewers to keep them informed on rugby league matters.
Yep.
And in my view, he's misled them. The people who watch Channel 9 have been misled. Not just on this, and that's why it's different. I've been lied to plenty of times, but I wrote a story, Tony Mestroff, protected Cherry Evans and lied to me. But it was an honourable lie because he gave his word to DCE.
But do you see how it's a tactic?
But he's not on television.
Do you see how it's a tactic, though? Do you see how it's a tactic that he got his man, and maybe it is for the betterment of the club? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, James Graham said that yesterday.
But the people who should be upset by this at 9, the executives at 9. Look, I said the goalpost changed 2 weeks ago, whatever. That's right, but clearly they were looking at Lachlan Galvin before that. I acknowledge that. The Galvin was, when he said Galvin wasn't on our radar, clearly that's not right. He was always on their radar, but the goalpost did shift. But the people who should be upset about it, Buzz, are his employers, because he's out there, as you said, with smoke and mirrors when he's speaking to people who want to know what's going on. Like the viewers, they want to be informed. That's what we do. We inform them every night about what's happening in the rugby league world. But from him, they're getting, I don't know what they're getting.
What do you think, Gordy?
I think the Dogs were building really nicely. I don't know the collateral damage. For me, Lachlan Galvin, watching all of his footage, he's a 6. So they're going to lose a 7. So where does Burton go? We talk about Crichton. Do you lose Burton, one of your first signings, or do you lose a fullback? I don't know.
I'll tell you what's
how he
happening,
slots in.
because
there you go. So then that's the puzzle. And then
it's become clear this afternoon, Gordy. I'd already heard some mail that he'll be going into the 7 position very soon, straight to 7.
do you think he can play 7?
Burton.
What, so that's Parramatta in 2 weeks?
It's a possibility, yes. Right. And that would probably now, with Sexton saying that he'll move on at the season's end, maybe he's been told. I'm not sure. That could be the case. And Mahoney, with him moving on, Hayward moves into the 9, and then you've got your spine, and there's not too much disruption. There was talk of Crichton and Burton moving back to fullback. Going back to what you said, will it work? Well, Mick Innes made a good point on the Sunday Ticket yesterday. If you look at the Melbourne halves and you look at Jerome Hughes and Cameron Munster, no one thought they were going to work. They're both running halves, and they do. The game has changed a lot.
Yeah,
now,
I get that,
and
but,
just quickly...
But Jerome Hughes, because I heard that, Jerome Hughes has changed his game.
He has. And so will Lachlan. He'll have to. He'll have to change his game. But they're very systematic, Canterbury, and I've said it on the show before. They play a simple style, and Galvin's got a great short kicking game. Burton's got an awesome long kicking game. So they do complement themselves in that way. Where they're going to struggle is organisation. That's the question mark. Do they get to the certain points on the field? Can he slot into that system seamlessly and still add that extra X factor that he has? I mean, he's a young talent. There is no doubt about that. But
you spoke about his footy IQ, though, Braith.
And his footy IQ.